Welcome to the NICU Today Podcast, a podcast to give families a new point of support as they navigate the NICU journey. Thank you for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe wherever you enjoy your podcast and share this episode with anyone who might find it helpful. Welcome to the NICU Today Podcast. Our guest today is Miracle Pelayo. She is an actor, model, fashion content creator, and spokesperson for the disabled community. Miracle is best known for Nickelodeon's Bella and the Bulldogs, Con Man with Alan Tudyk, and she is the voice of the first American Girl doll with cerebral palsy, Lily, in the YouTube series American Girl Doll, The Travel Twins on YouTube Kids. She has dreamt of being an actor since age 4. When she was 12, she went to see The Miracle Worker, the play, and she noticed the actor playing Helen Keller was able-bodied, playing a disabled character. She turned to her dad and said she wanted to change that, and so began her journey of being an actor. Miracle is a preemie survivor at 23 weeks and weighed 1 pound, 12 ounces, and then went to 14 ounces. With a 5% rate of survival, the doctors told her mom to have an abortion. Miracle proved the doctors wrong and is now thriving, living her dreams, and continues to give people hope and believing in a miracle. She has cerebral palsy and is thankful for her disability because of where she is today. Welcome, Miracle.
Thank you so much for having me, Martha.
Oh, I'm so glad that we met. And, I know we talked about this, but we refer to all of the NICU grads who we impact through Today is a Good Day as NICU Miracles. So only fitting Miracle is your name.
Yes. Miracle Mary. Yes.
Right. That's right. So tell us about your story. I mean, so often we interview families who are parents of NICU Miracles. You are the NICU Miracle yourself, quite literally. Tell us about yourself and your family story.
So, like Martha mentioned, I'm a preemie survivor at 23 weeks. I was supposed to be born April 11th of 1992, but I was born December 10th. And what caused my mom to go into premature labor was actually a kidney infection. And there were a lot of complications with me. My mom didn't do an epidural or no medication when she went into labor with me. And when I was coming out, I was actually purple. I was getting about 5% oxygen, and the doctors just told my parents that there would be a lot of complications with me. And so the doctors wanted my mom to have an abortion with me because they basically said that I was going to be a vegetable for the rest of my life. But my parents said, no, we're going to put our little girl in God's hands and we're going to see what he does with her. And I just kept, thriving and just making a lot of improvement. And I came home just in time for Mother's Day after 4 months of being in the NICU.
Oh, what a milestone. I'm sure your mother was celebrating that day coming home.
Oh my gosh, yes.
To Mother's Day. How did you get your name?
So originally my name was supposed to be Rosemary, but God revealed to my mom of no, her name's going to be Miracle because she is going to be a living miracle after this experience. And I was UCI Irvine's first preemie to survive, and that's why my parents named me Miracle.
Oh, that's incredible. So I'm sure over all of these years, you've talked to your parents about kind of what they went through, questions they had to answer, the decisions they had to make, as we just talked about. What have they shared with you of how they've kind of gotten through, how they got through all that time?
Honestly, all they told me was how much they prayed and how they got our church involved to pray for me. And because, like I said, the doctor said that I wasn't going to make it past 24 hours. So they told my parents all of these, stories of how I wasn't going to live up to anything. And so my parents sat down and they're like, you know what, we got to get our church to pray and we're just going to have to take it one day at a time. And then as I got older, the surgery started to come on because of things that I went through with cerebral palsy. But my parents had an incredible support system in our church, and they just took it one day and one prayer at a time, honestly.
And do you remember different therapies that you went through when you were and the different things, if you'd be willing to share with the listeners?
Yeah, so I went through a lot of occupational, physical, and speech therapy. What a lot of people don't know is that I actually used to have a stutter growing up. But through a lot of therapy, going sometimes 2 times a week would really, really help me with getting stronger and being able to speak. I didn't say my first sentence, Martha, until I was about 5.
Oh my goodness.
So therapy actually brought out a lot of strength in me. And I'm actually going to be going back on my birthday. And so I'm really, really excited to do this again full circle and see where it's going to take me.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about growing up, having cerebral palsy, navigating through the therapies that you went through, but
Mhm.
also going through school as well, and kind of what
Yes,
that looked like for you. And
yes.
what do you want to share with other parents who might be navigating through school through special education
Mhm.
programs and those different types of things?
So I was diagnosed with spastic diplegia cerebral palsy when I was 8 months old. And how my parents knew that something was kind of like not wrong, but they could see that there was something there was my parents took me to Utah to go see a very specific pediatric specialist. And they did some tests on me. And then the doctor was like, put Miracle on the floor. I want to see how she crawls. And normally, when a baby crawls, they put one leg in front of the other, right? And I was going like this. I was pushing myself up, and that's actually what's called the comeback crawl. And they just noticed that my muscles were too tight. And but what also causes cerebral palsy is lack of oxygen in the brain. And I was only getting about 5% oxygen. And so, but thankfully, my cerebral palsy is very, very mild, and I'm still able to have conversations and things like that. But cerebral palsy, it just depends on the birth, you know. But going back to your original question, I was in special ed from kindergarten up until about 7th grade. And then when I was in 8th grade, I was mainstreamed into regular ed classes. But making that transition, it took a lot of IEP meetings and talking to the school psychologist and all my teachers and things like that. And originally, I was nervous because I was like, I've been in special ed my entire life. How am I going to be able to relate to the kids? Like, what if I get what if I get bullied? But my mom was like, you know what? This is what every single special need parent thrives for, is to see their kid in mainstreamed classes. And sure enough, we took a leap of faith, and I graduated high school, regular ed classes, 4.0 GPA, and just because we took a leap of faith, like, I'm grateful for what happened.
I love that. I love that. Um, when you look back on therapies that you've experienced, what have been some of the most helpful therapies that you've done?
So this might sound a little bit weird, but because I had a stutter, it was actually bubbles that got me to talk. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, when you blow bubbles, the first thing that you do is use your mouth, right? And you use your mouth muscles to get you to blow. So like when you go like, you're using all of the muscles in here to strengthen your mouth muscles right here. And so I did that for about 2 months, and then my therapist Jan Owens would say "buh bubble," and she would try to get me to repeat it. And so like during that, she would also work on speech with me, but also during school, I had a speech therapist with me. So I would say definitely using bubbles for for um, for mouth muscles definitely helped, and also using like blocks to help me to like stretch out my hands, and also slinkies to strengthen my hand muscles as well.
It's incredible how some of the simplest
Ex-
items can be so helpful.
Exactly.
Right. I always find that so interesting. I remember when our daughter was in early intervention early on, and it was the therapist would give us these exercises to do with her to try and help her to learn how to walk. As we've talked about, fellow 23 weeker, she was. And some of the exercises they would give to us, I go, well, that makes a lot of sense. Why didn't I think about doing that? Right?
Yeah, just leave it to the professionals.
I know.
They know what they're doing. And, like I said, I went to therapy 2 times a week. And what also helped me was my therapist would put me on like these little stairs, like these little flights of stairs. Like they weren't too big, but like they were medium sized. And she would have me like walk up and down them, like with her assisting me. And that definitely helped. But also too, what also helped me walk was parallel bars in the therapy room. So like she would have them in front of me. She would make me walk to the mirror, and then she would turn me around, and then I would walk back. So honestly, if you're a new special needs parent looking for therapy, I cannot recommend occupational therapy enough for when you're first starting out, because that honestly changed my life. It really did. And I'm still friends with my OT therapist till this day. She's known me since I was 2 years old. And she actually was the first person that got me to crawl for the first time after my first surgery. So I'm forever grateful to Jan Owens for changing my life.
Well, and those friendships are for life. NICU nurses, therapists that you
Yes.
meet, I mean, they really do stay with you forever, for sure. Now,
Yes.
well, you truly are a miracle. I am so excited to talk about what you're doing today. Talk to us about your acting career. How did you get into all of this? I mean, and especially getting into this industry, having a disability, being just so awesome and going into this. Tell us about it.
So, like you mentioned in my bio, I have dreamt about being an actor since I was 4. Growing up, my dad would always videotape me on our home video camera. Like the ones where you could convert into like a VHS tape and you can watch it.
Yes.
So
That
my
makes us old, Miracle. That makes us
yeah,
old when we say
I'm
things like that,
I'm a
okay?
90s kid, so that's what I grew up on. So my dad would always videotape me on our camcorder, and he would say, "Miracles on TV, miracles on TV," and I literally thought I had my own TV show. And if the camera wasn't on me, I would throw the biggest tantrum you would ever see in your entire life. And so, but my parents noticed that when I was about 6, I had I could memorize all of the Disney movies that I would watch, like from line to line, because I watched them over and over. And so like they would tell me, they would say to like their friends, like, she's really good at memorizing. And so when I was about 12, my parents took me to go see the Miracle Worker, the play, on my 12th birthday. And I noticed that the girl playing Helen Keller was able-bodied, playing a disabled character. But during that time, when I was about 7, I was a part of a boys and girls wheelchair club called Winners on Wheels in Long Beach. And so we would go on like field trips and things like that. And one of the things that we did was go see Disney on Ice. And I loved watching people perform. And I was like, what if I do that, but I'm in my wheelchair? And so when my parents took me to go see the Miracle Worker, the play, that is what started everything, because I noticed, like I said, the girl playing Helen Keller was able-bodied, playing a disabled character. And I turned to my dad that night and I said, "Dad, I don't know how and I don't know when, but watch me change that one day." And so when I was about 14, that's when I started to really like get into theater, because I come from a family of performers. Like half of my cousins are actors, and then my sister was a dancer. And so but I feel like acting for me was my own way of like being creative, because I feel like that was my outlet, because I was in therapy every week. I was in special ed and things like that. I just wanted something to call my own, you know. And then also I had one-on-one aides with me all the time, and so I just wanted to have like my own outlet. And so um, I became friends with this girl named Michaela Jill Murphy, who's actually a voiceover actor. She's known as Toph on Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I grew up with her, and she was actually a member of Kids on Stage for a Better World. That was a triple threat group in performing. And I was just mesmerized by Kids on Stage because I loved how they gravitated towards an audience. And I was like, I want to audition for Kids on Stage. But the first thing that I thought about was, I'm in a wheelchair. What if they don't accept me? How are they going to accommodate me? And so my dad emailed the owner, and she said, my daughter loves to perform. Is there any way we can get her an audition? And sure enough, it was Saturday, January 20th of 2007. I went in, I auditioned for them, and I made it into the group, and I was the only disabled member, and I did over 30 shows with them.
Wow.
And then after CC Kids, I took my final bow in 2009, and I started high school. I got into theater in middle school, my junior year, and in high school. I was the lead actress in all of the school plays, and my teachers were so open to me performing, and they knew that this is what I wanted. And so they were like, Miracle, take the stage. And so, and then after that, after high school was when my dad took me to SAG after, just to get information on how to get started in the industry. And right as my dad and we were about to leave, there was a woman who was there, and her name was Gail Williamson. And she stopped me and she said, how old are you, sweetie? And I said, I'm 20. I just graduated high school. She's like, meet me in Starbucks in 2 weeks. I'm a talent agent for actors with disabilities, and I want to represent you. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I was with my first agency for 10 years, and my first co-star role was with Alan Tudyk in Con Man. It was a web series, and that was my first co-star role, and that was amazing. And so shortly after that, I booked my second co-star role was Stacy on Nickelodeon's Bella and the Bulldogs. And what was really special for me was after that, I realized that I became the first disabled actor to be on a kids television network in Nickelodeon history, and that's
Wow.
never been done before until that moment happened. And I was like, whoa, I finally opened the door for disabled performers to be on the network. And for me, that was just, I was so beyond grateful for that. And then shortly after that, I did a commercial for Tommy Hilfiger Adaptive, which is a clothing line for people with disabilities. And what was really special is that I got to do that project with my sister. And so we had so much fun together. And then American Girl doll comes, and what was really special about that was I got the audition on my mom's birthday.
Oh,
And so, and then I did the audition, I waited about a week, and then I got the phone call that I booked it, becoming the first, the voice of the first American Girl doll with cerebral palsy in American Girl doll history. And I was crying, and my mom was crying, and I booked it on Holy Thursday of all days. And it was just, I never imagined that I would dream about something and then it finally happening. But for me, what matters to me is that I'm a voice for people who need to believe that with their disability that they can make their dreams happen.
I am tearing up over here and just thinking about how much hope and inspiration you have given to so many who are, not only the parents who are listening today, but just those who have crossed paths with you. I know that you have definitely given such hope and inspiration. And congratulations on all of your achievements.
Thank you
I
so much.
I love that. I need to connect you with our 23 weeker who is just turned 14 and loves acting, Miracle.
Oh my
So
gosh, yes.
she's
Yes.
she's big into acting and singing and all the things. So I think we have to set up a phone call for you
Yes.
two.
Oh my gosh, I would love to meet her. Absolutely.
So thinking about all you've accomplished, thinking about what your parents went through and, you know, just the whole idea of being in the NICU, overcoming odds, what advice do you have for parents who may be listening today who are going through the NICU, who don't know how they're going to get through the next day, who don't know what their children's future is going to look like? What do you want to tell them?
You know, if there's a NICU parent watching this right now, I want you to know that the story is not over. It's just beginning. And I want you to look at your NICU baby right now and hold their hand and say, we got this. We got this. And I want you to know that there is hope. There are miracles still happening every single day, and I'm gonna pray that this Christmas that your sweet NICU baby will be coming home to be in your arms, to embrace what life has to give you, and you are gonna have the best life knowing that your little one has a reason to thrive, because I want my story to give you hope and inspiration and a purpose in knowing that you're on this journey for a reason. And yes, it is hard. It is traumatizing. There are a lot of questions, but you are chosen. You are a NICU parent. You are a NICU warrior, both you and your child. And this journey, it's worth it. It's worth it, because knowing what I went through and my parents went through, the only thing I could say is thank you to God, because without him, I would not be here. And I know that you're here for a reason, and you just have so much to live for. And like, I know that you can't see it right now, but just hold on. Hold on.
Love that. Bringing tears to my eyes again, Miracle, closing out our conversation today. Really incredible words to end our episode with. And just want to thank you again, Miracle Pelayo. Thank you for being here today. Congratulations on all of your accomplishments. And
Thank you.
thank you for tuning in to the NICU Today podcast, brought to you by Today is a Good Day. Learn more at todayisagoodday.org.